This episode of the Golf Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You went up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up with promo code GOLFSGPN to claim your first special pick, plus a first-time deposit bonus up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code GOLFSGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMN. All right, D-Gens, welcome back. It's your boy, Boston Cap, with the God of Golf himself, Steve Shermer. We're going to be covering the U.S. Scotty Open. Steve, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Just another day, another Sunday ruined by Scotty with a couple outrights in the mix there. Yep. The live event also kind of aggravated me as well. Had a couple guys in the mix there too. It came up just short. So yeah, rolling to the U.S. Open with a second place finisher at the Memorial, third place at the Live Houston events. In a fantastic mood to probably do like a 90-minute podcast tonight about something that probably
90 I'm doing a drink refill. 90 I'm doing a drink refill.
All right.
And this is why I love the people who follow us, by the way. We're on for less than a minute and a half. And somebody's like, Keegan blew up, the Manning boy. Yeah, I know Keegan blew up. Thank you.
Do you want to start off with your official statement of your boy blowing up, ruining a positional for me, a surefire positional?
It's your fault for betting on him. You know what you're getting with Keegan.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, your fault.
Oh, okay.
You know what you're getting. You can't be mad. There's something called go full Keegan. Like, you know what you're getting with him. Like, you just know it.
And what exactly?
Every time. There's a disclaimer every time I bet him. Don't follow me. I bet him every week regardless.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of another guy you're just going to bet every week regardless now, as you have made abundantly clear on our text messages and before the show, you had proclaimed that you are waving the white flag.
Yep.
Even though you think this dude is milquetoast, you think he's bad for the game, you are just going to bet Scotty.
Yes.
No matter what now. So why don't you expand on that a little bit? Why don't you just rant? Just your take.
So, I mean, for people of my age, maybe even a little younger, who remember Sideshow Bob on The Simpsons, voiced by Kelsey Grammer. There was a scene where he would just constantly walk around, and there was a rake. Every time he took a step, it would slap him in the face. Pop up, hit him in the head. Pop up, hit him in the head. Didn't matter which direction he went. This is Scotty Scheffler. He can't win outside of these months. Guess what? He can. He is unstoppable. He had his D game today. And look, I know he played great, obviously, throughout the whole weekend, but he played like shit today. And nobody went up and got it. And that's part of the reason why I'm just going to bet Scotty too, because the rest of these guys on this tour are ballless fucking eunuchs. Like, they have no drive. They cannot capitalize. That's it. They just can't. Like, Scotty left the door wide open. Wide open. I know there's like probably 4 people who could actually catch him, but they didn't do it. Colin did his Colin shit. Adam Hadwin, haha, no shot. I'm just done. Like, listen, 3-1 is better than losing all of my outright money. I'll bet heavier on top 5s and top 10s because that's where all the guys are betting outright are landing. So let's just do that. I'm sick of getting my money stolen by Scotty. Scotty is the most boring, awful. Like, he's not even exciting to watch. That's what sucks. Like, he's not exciting to watch. He has no flair. His personality is, like I said, milquetoast. So, look, it is what it is at this point. I'm just done getting beat by it. I'm done being cute. Like, look, I'm going to join the casuals who keep cashing these bets. And we're like, well, let's go this way. Nope. We're just going to keep losing while people who don't know golf win because they're fine with 4-1 or 3-1.
Yeah, a buddy of mine is a very casual golf bettor. And he has very much enjoyed this year because all he is doing is 2 things: betting on Scotty Scheffler and betting on Tiger Woods over round props, which is going to be exactly what he does next week too. Probably the greatest success. Look, I mean, what's soul crushing about all of this, besides the fact that Scotty has ruined several Sundays for me this year, is that you just mentioned the D game. I would call it more like a C plus game.
All right, C+.
But here's the thing, though. So he didn't look good. He didn't look up to Scotty standards. He still gained about a stroke on the field. Now, granted, like his baseline is gaining about 2.5 strokes on the field every single round. So yeah, it's kind of fair to call it a C game. But you know what? Gaining a stroke on the field is essentially like
pretty good.
as better than like 90% of the guys of their average. So yeah, and having Morikawa there, although I kept looking at the TV. I mean, I had the kids around. Like it's hard to focus on a golf tournament when you have a 4-year-old screaming at you that the mac and cheese is too cold. That there wasn't a point that I thought Colin was actually going to win. Even when Scotty bogeyed a hole and then Colin had a birdie putt, which he promptly missed. Thanks for that.
Yep.
No, maybe just I'm dead inside. Maybe I'm just so beaten down that I'm just expecting Scotty to just win. But listen, I'm stubborn. I'm not going to do it. I think also a part of it too is the fact that we do content, the fact I do shows, the fact that I put together extensive notes and breakdowns of golf courses and trends. My ego says, I can't do all of this work for content and previewing golf courses to just say at the end of it, I'm just going to bet one guy. And that's probably a me problem. Granted, everybody else just listening to this, you don't have to do that. So look, I'm not going to.
It doesn't even. Go ahead. We just put the work into like the top 10 bets. Like that's all. That's all we have to do. Top 5s, top 10s.
That's just no fun. I guess I'm still kidding myself that this is eventually going to end, just like probably our dads did back in 1999 for Tiger Woods. And guess what? He just curb stomped everybody for a decade. So, well, is what it is. Doesn't even come close to the pain rankings again. I just did not think he was going to win.
No.
I got nothing else. I mean, I thought I very much enjoyed Murfield Village. It's growing on me a lot. As the more I do this, the more I appreciate how Jack actually will test these guys in the tournament. And I appreciate that, even though I think the test that we're going to see next week doesn't really correlate a whole lot to Murfield Village, other than just you have to nut up and hit good shots. I appreciate Jack really upping the dial at this place and pushing the edge, pushing the limit. And there was so much volatility that, tracking some guys and seeing them go on a little birdie run. And then they go like Keegan did yesterday, bogey, double.
Today.
Yeah, and today.
He shot like 7 over today. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Zalatoris blew up today. A lot of guys blew up today. So that was the thing. Like Scotty gained, I think, a stroke on the field and shot 2 over today. That just, it's good to see. And now we're going to go to Pinehurst number 2, where these guys absolutely got vaporized, except for one guy back in 2014. We'll talk about if that's going to really happen again this year. There's been a couple changes. It's going to be weather dependent, but I'm ready for it. I thought that was a really good appetizer for the U.S. Open. The Live Houston event definitely was not. That golf course was worse than I remembered. Did you watch any of that?
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Horrible. That golf course stinks. And I guess the only thing to take out of the Live event is they played on Bermuda at least, which is what they're going to be going to this week at Pinehurst. Maybe they're getting used to that. I mean, they played in, I think, 90-degree heat. It's going to be, I think, like 85, 90 degrees in North Carolina too. But yeah, I mean, other than Brooks making a run today, Bryson ended up making a little bit of a run today. Those guys basically just were kind of treading water. We'll talk about
Brooks had a bunch. Brooks like cleaned up today.
Yeah, Brooks shot 65 today to get everybody to buy back into here comes Brooke ahead of a U.S. Open. Kind of like the same thing that happened on the first 2 majors, and not the Masters, but the PGA Championship
for us.
Yes. But it just it's
I'm just sad.
It is saddening. Yeah, it is. I know. I can tell you're upset based on the text messages, and BK is very upset too. This is, him and I got our Players Championship ruined by Scott.
I have my Players Championship ruined. Wyndham Clark. What are you talking about?
Fine, we all got our Players Championship ruined by this dude. So, but you do respect his golf game, though. I got you to at least.
Of course, I do.
That. Yes.
Yeah. So, of course. Yeah. Listen, what are you going to do? He's the best player in the world. But what's crazy is like, I don't understand how there's other than him like holding out shots with the bunker and like random stuff like that. Like he doesn't do anything that like dazzles me. Do you know what I mean? Like Tiger did shit. Was like, oh fuck, look at that shot. Like he just doesn't do it. So I don't know. He's just like a robot, and mixed that with his personality, like fucking hell.
Well, that's because Tiger was doing things that nobody else could do back in 1997. These guys were basically plumbers back then, and now everybody is 6'2" and jacked and athletic, and everybody can hit it over 300 yards. Everybody can stick an iron shot to 5 feet. The problem is just Scotty just does it over and over and over and over.
I know,
and he doesn't miss. And that's what's frustrating about it, and it's just why it just seems very inevitable sometimes. But listen, it's Pinehurst number 2. These greens can create a little bit of volatility. There is a very fine margin between a really good shot and a really bad shot, as we'll go over in a little bit. Look, I mean, maybe we'll get lucky where the ball just take a little bit of a wrong slope at the wrong time for him. He can't get up and down. Maybe that'll be the difference. But
I hope not, because I'm betting him.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope it does, because I will not be betting him, and I will just continue to probably lose money and be stubborn.
Like I said, I'll either win or I'll sacrifice myself for the entire golf gambling community.
All right. I would appreciate if you sacrifice yourself. That would be great. So I think it'd be a lot more fun for everybody if Scotty did not win. So, all right. You want to just get to Pinehurst?
Let's go. Get to it.
Okay. Let's bring it up here. This is the Pinehurst Resort, and as you can see on the screen here, there are a lot of golf courses. Chris, do you know how many golf courses there are at the Pinehurst Resort in North Carolina?
I think it's 5, right?
No. So there are 9 full 18-hole golf courses, and they're really spread out. So you got the main golf courses here. You got, here's Pinehurst number 2. Here's number 4, which is a Gil Hanse. Pinehurst number 1, the original. Down here across the street here, you got Pinehurst number 3 and 5. And then there's actually a few of them just way out. Pinehurst number 9's way over here. 7's all the way out the edge of the property. 6 and 8 aren't even on the property. They're just way far out. But like this whole area, though, I'm just zooming out like really far. You can see golf courses everywhere. Like this is golf course heaven here. This is essentially kind of like the St. Andrews of the United States as far as golf. No. As far as just like a lot of good golf courses. And the USGA is probably trying to make it that way, considering this is essentially an anchor site where every 5 years or so, they're going to host a new US Open, kind of like with St. Andrews. It's the US Open is starting to transition to a new era where it's more of a rotation.
Yeah.
So you have, it's going to be this, it's going to be Oakmont, it's going to be Pebble Beach, it's going to be Shinnecock, and it's going to be, there's one more. That's going to be essentially in the rotation. They might add a couple here or there, new ones, but otherwise, though, you're going to be seeing a lot of Pinehurst number 2, whether you like it or not, over the next 5 or 6 years. So this is Pinehurst number 2. It opened in 1907. So the original Pinehurst Resort, it was founded by, a Boston guy, actually, James Walker Tufts. He was a soda magnate.
Tufts? The guy who opened the university? Tufts?
So I actually looked into it. I don't think there's a relation. I couldn't find
Get
it.
out of here.
Yeah. I mean, this is just like going.
What are the odds? There's 2 guys from Boston and there's Tufts University.
So apparently Charles Tufts was the one that donated the land for the original university. This is James Walker Tufts, and I could not find anywhere a relation. But I don't know, maybe it's a cousin or something. But anyways, he bought 5,500 acres at $1.25 an acre back in 1895. And he first created Pinehurst number 1, which is down here. And the golf course got very popular. So they hired Donald Ross to come in to just create another golf course to alleviate some of the pressure of Pinehurst number 1. So he ended up creating a 9-hole track for Pinehurst number 2. And it, once again, became really popular. More people came down to the area, and he eventually expanded it to 18 holes. And this is Pinehurst number 2. So originally, this were all sand fairways and sand greens. One of the misnomers about this is everyone talks about the turtleback greens, how they're really tricky. It falls off on all sides. Well, Donald Ross actually didn't build any of those. They were actually built by accident through just years of top dressing with sand, Eventually, the interior was just raised about a foot to give them their mushroom shape. So it's a wonderful diabolical accident that we are given these greens, and these will be on full display this week. If you remember back in 2014, these greens made these guys look absolutely silly.
Yep.
The combination of the fast nature of them, tight Bermuda lies around each green, where if you hit the wrong side of a slope, and I'll show you a couple of examples of some holes that I remember where it just, guy missed by like a foot or so, and it just rolled into a horrible spot. There's a very fine line between a really good shot and a really bad shot. So, you think about Donald Ross greens, Oak Hill and Sedgefield and Detroit Golf Club, like really undulating in nature. These aren't really undulating in nature, but they're very subtly undulated. But the fall offs, though, and they're really glassy and slick, that they just get the ball rolling the wrong way a little bit, it's going to go bye-bye. And I'll show you a couple of examples when we get to the holes of some really bad areas you can end up in at Pinehurst number 2. So this has received a bunch of renovations over the last 30, 40, 50 years or so. So in 1974, Robert Trent Jones removed all of the sandy waste areas and basically made it more of a conventional kind of a Parklands golf course, narrow fairways, thick rough. Reese Jones, a favorite of mine for sure. Ended up coming in here.
Really?
Yes. He ended up coming in here in 1999 and making it, even more extreme. So actually, why don't I actually go back in time? I'll show you what it looked like for the 99 US Open or around there. So let's see. Let me get a good picture. Here's a good one. So this is what it looked like. So, typical Parklands golf course, narrow fairways, thick rough here, nothing all that special. And then in 2010, Corin Crenshaw came in and said, we're going to restore it back to the, original Donald Ross inspiration, sandy waste areas, firm and fast. And he ended up creating this. So, some people liked it. Some people don't. A very prominent opinionator, is it even a word? A guy who gives opinion on golf courses. Donald J. Trump actually gave his opinion on Pinehurst in the 2014 U.S. Open. He said,
what hasn't he given his opinion on?
He tweeted to @DCologne2112. He said, watching the U.S. Open, it's like they're playing at a local community golf course. It looks awful. And that got a whopping 22 likes back then. So he has definitely expanded his social media footprint since 2014. But, back then, though, it was, this is all like sandy wire grass over here. It was browned out. Like it wasn't green at all. It didn't look like a traditional golf course, but it played fantastic. So let's get to some of the holes and how they're going to play, the challenges these guys are going to face this year. So this is a par 70, 7,548 yards. This is Bermuda fairways and greens. Now in 2014, that was bent grass greens. They have since changed it all the way over to Bermuda, though. So that is a little bit difference from 2014. There also is a little bit of a difference with the sandy waste areas. So in 2014, they planted a lot of it. All those, it was a lot of the plants that you find over in the sandy waste areas were relatively new. And it's a little bit of a luck box if you end up over there. You could, there's videos I post in my article that you'll see of guys playing it that if you hit over there, you could be fine. You could have a clean lie, unobstructed view to the green. Sometimes there's holes where if you're in the sandy waste area, if you're on the right side of the fairway, it's actually advantageous. You're cool. But if you get in some of the wire grass, it can, either you might have to play an unplayable lie. You might have to punch back into the fairway. It's really going to disrupt your shot. So it's not like where this week at Muirfield Village, basically it's a thick ryegrass rough lie, it's hard. You're basically hacking out. Here, it's kind of roll the dice, 50-50. So, but they've added more of it and it's matured a lot. So it's going to be maybe a little dicier if you hit into the sandy waste areas more so than it was in 2014. We're kind of have to see how the, guys, maybe giving quotes.
We're going to have to wait till we have feet on the ground to see where that
exactly is. Yeah. But from early pictures I've seen, it's greener this year. It's there's a little more vegetation off the fairway. So it might play a little softer than what it did in 2014. So it might be a little easier to hold the fairways, even though they're relatively wide, but they bottleneck in certain places. So why don't we get right to the holes? So this is the first hole here. This is 395 yards. It was the sixth easiest in 2014. And this is essentially as close to a handshake hole as you really can get here. And it looks relatively straightforward. The green is right out in front of you here. It's 50-yard wide fairway here, bottlenecks to about 25 yards at about 255. It's got a bunker.
All these guys are to the next bunker.
What's that?
None of these guys are getting it there.
So this is 343 over here. So no one's going to be carrying that. Everybody in 2014 laid short. And that's probably going to be the case again this year. Because there's not really, what's the benefit to pulling driver, right? Otherwise you can just set up like a 130-yard shot into the green. And a lot of these greens too, you want to have a higher lofted club into it because the targets are really small because of the turtleback nature.
Yeah.
So I still expect, and a lot of the, and I'm going to go over where guys were hitting it back in 2014 in club selections too. I got that from the final round. Everybody I saw laid back. I didn't see anybody hit driver. The only guy I saw hit more than a hybrid was Spieth hit a 3-wood and really he thread the needle. Otherwise, though, I think a lot of guys are going to hit irons here. But here, the thing is, though, everywhere else, though, it's mostly driver. So this is really the only hole, the only par 4 really where guys are basically laying back off the tee. So it seems easy, though. You could play this hole, hit the green, get your 2-putt, move on. But this green is very difficult, and it basically gives you the proper introduction to the turtleback nature of these greens. So there's a lot of really bad places to miss it around the green. So for example, I'll show you the fine line here. So the pin was tucked back right here. Henrik Stenson, I saw him absolutely flagged it, hit it to about 5 feet behind the pin, but because it was so firm, the ball just kept trickling, and ended up rolling down to all the way about here. So about like 15, 20 yards away from green. So he hit actually a really good shot, but because he hit it a little too far, ball rolled a little bit too far. DJ hit it a little short. He ends up chunking his chip back to the hole here. So, and everything just falls out. Everything falls out to the bunker here, repels this way. So it's very difficult to hold these greens, especially when it's firm. And this is an example of, even though it's a short par 4, if you don't hit your number on the green, you're basically either chipping back up or putting back up, depending on where the pin is. You got to be really precise with this stuff. All right, second hole. So this is a par 4, 504 yards. So a big boy par 4. This was the third hardest hole in 2014. It's kind of a bigger version of hole number 1. Basically, the fairway bottlenecks at about 300 yards here. It's about 55-yard fairway here, bottlenecks to about 35 yards. Once you get about 300 yards out, there's a couple bunkers over here. This is all wiregrass here. And I think this is a really well-designed hole. So let's go up to the green here. So the green is angled about 45 degrees from the fairway. So, but, you might be tempted off the tee to hit it down the right side to shorten up the approach shot. Well, the problem is, though, is that your angle into this green here, you don't have any room to navigate. It's only about 30 yards wide, and with the turtleback nature, you're probably only hitting to like a little circle here. So what you actually have to do is, if you want the best angle into the green, you got to hit down the left side, and there's a lot of trouble down the left. And especially if it's firm, the ball is going to run through either a bunker or there's a lot of wiregrass here. So, and it's going to set up a pretty long approach shot. So back in 2014, Keimer and Ricky, they had about 175 to 180 into the green here. If it's playing a little softer this year, I would probably expect similar distances. So even though guys hit it farther, the ball's not rolling out as much, it's probably going to be about the same distance. And in 2005, actually, Retief Goosen had the 54-hole lead. He ended up blading his chip shot over the green, tried putting back up, failed, ended up 2-putting for a 6, and then I think he shot in a opening 940 or 43 to blow the U.S. Open. So that's an example of guys who can just really blow up. And we'll talk about another guy. Yeah, we'll talk about another guy who really blew up a little later on too. All right. Any questions so far before I keep going?
No, I would just say, so like when we're looking at these areas, right? So these guys are carrying for the most part 300 yards. So if it pinches down to 25 to 35 yards, even on hole 2, right? So on hole 2, let's just stick on hole 2. So to the left, how big of a, like, these guys get out of sand all day long. Maybe the wiregrass you can get a shitty lie, but if they go to the left, how bad is it if they miss?
I mean, it depends on the lie here. The sand, it's probably, you never want to hit a bunker shot like up from like 175, 180. Like the lips aren't that big, but you want clean contact. It's probably more of a problem. Like, if you get the ball in here, it could be a clean lie, but you could, it could be behind the wiregrass here. You're really just playing. It's going to be a lot of luck.
Yeah, risk reward, right? So, like, if
much.
these guys are going to carry it to, I'm pointing to the screen, like people can see where I'm pointing. But so if they hit it like here and they actually keep it in the fairway, now it's fucking go time, especially if the pin's on the right, and they can go right at it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the driver and 3-wood off this hole.
Yeah, basically, I think it's going to depend on how much the ball is rolling, but your goal is basically push it as far up to the left as you can here. And then you got a pretty good angle to the green. But if you roll it a little too far, it's going to go into here. Then you're really dealing with the waist area. I mean, it's going to be a little tricky. And once the ball hits the ground, it's hard to stop it if it's really firm, which we'll see how much it is. But that's going to be a pretty interesting dynamic to the U.S. Open this year. So, all right, third hole. Another short par 4. This is 387 yards. This was the second easiest hole at Pinehurst back in 2014. Let's go to the green first. So this is a pretty severe green. Everything falls off pretty significantly to front, but everything falls off severely to the back. So like if you run it through the back, it's going to go all the way down here. It's going to go all the way down here. Anyway, all here. Yeah. So
is that hard pack? Is that hard pack sand back there, or is it still? Fun?
Yeah, this is like back in 2014. This is where people were walking. I think there was a grandstand here too. So like maybe guys are like backward a little bit, but still like I saw guys roll it all the way back down to this junk down here. Because they just hit their drive a little too far. Now that's the thing though. So because it was so firm, guys could try and fly the ball and bounce the ball to the green. So you have two options. The first option is to play it safe. It's a cross bunker that's about 290 to carry, but you saw a lot of guys lay short of it. And then you have a really good angle to the green here if you want to lay it short. Or you do what pretty much everybody else I saw in 2014. They pulled driver and they ripped it. Now, the thing is, though, so this is the tee box here. You can't see the green over these pine trees.
Right.
And you got to hit a pretty hard fade. So you're sending it up there and then you're just kind of hoping. Like, okay. I mean, I think probably
but they know where the pin is prior.
They do. They do, but like still, I mean, you don't see where it lands. So you know if it's going to land in this bunker or if it's going to roll all the way down here. So, it's a little bit nervy there. Probably a good result is probably ending up in this bunker here and getting back up.
Yeah.
Going long though, not good.
Dude, you're not going long there.
I saw a bunch of guys go long. They just ran it all the way. But now it was extremely firm, but they ran it all the way through the green.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now Keimer, who was just in fuego all week, actually hit driver and somehow managed to keep the ball on the putting surface. It was the only guy I saw do it. He just everything went right for Keimer. And we'll talk about that later when we talk about what the stats he put out. Everything went right for him this week. It was just the perfect storm. All right. Hole number 4. Long par 4, 528 yards, the 6th toughest hole back in 2014. Plays slightly downhill, and it's a reverse cambered fairway. What does that mean? Well, so essentially, a reverse cambered fairway is when the fairway runs opposite basically the direction of the green. So the green asks you to hit basically a draw, a right to left shot into the green here. But the fairway slopes left to right. So the ball is going to be below your feet and you're trying to hit a draw. So for a righty, that is no bueno. That's really difficult to do. So the green is also pretty wide, but it's very shallow. So, if it's playing really firm, this is going to be a longer approach shot into the green. It's going to be harder to hold. So, like a lot of these greens, you really need a high ball flight in order to keep it on the putting surface. Otherwise, though, you just can't stop the ball fast enough or it's just going to roll off. So, and you're going to like this. This is where Ricky Fowler's U.S. Open officially ended. So he hit it about, I think in this junk down here, ends up blading it completely over the green. Chips back on 2-putt 6. I think he bogeyed, and I think he only parred the next hole here too. And that was all she wrote. So there's a false front here too. So, there's a false front. So anything short's going to feed off here. It's everybody hit driver on this hole. Most guys had between like 200 to 210 in. So, and that's with firm conditions. If it's softer conditions, even with the added length, is going to counteract that a little bit. I would probably expect similar lengths into the screen, which a longer approach shot into this green here, it's because it's so shallow. It's going to be hard to hold. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
Bueno. Yeah.
All right. This is our first par 5 of the golf course. This is the 588-yard par 5 of the 5th hole. So the tee box is actually like 125 yards behind the green here. It's actually a pretty far walk. Everybody else is going to play from here. So again, though, this is on the same little ridge as number 4 here. The fairway runs right to left this time, though, towards a lot of wiregrass down here. And you don't really want to be left at all.
How big is the slope? Like, are we talking like it's like?
So this is 5
slope, or is it like just slight slope?
No, this is 505. This is 497. So 8 feet of slope, but if it's really firm, though, if you get the ball going a little bit in the wrong direction, it'll end up here. Now you don't want to be left on this hole for a lot of reasons. Number one, if you're left here, you don't have a great view of the green to try and get there in 2. Now, there's a lot of room to bounce the ball up in front, but you still got to hit a draw. But really, you don't want to be left on this hole because there is a severe fall off long and left here. So if you miss right, this is about on the same elevation as the green. You can putt back to the putting surface. Even from this bunker here, it's pretty easy to get up and down. But if you miss long and left, it's probably going to roll all the way back down to like the 4th tee box here. So like this is 506. This is all short grass, and it's just going to keep rolling and rolling and rolling. So, and the green slopes from back to front. So do not miss left on this hole at all costs. Keimer and Ricky, they had about 260. And that was the problem with the 2014 broadcast is once Keimer and Ricky started playing, you didn't really see anybody else hit any shots. Thank you, NBC, unless they did something really good. I know. But so really all I have is a lot of data from like Keimer and Ricky and a couple other guys. But, they hit about 260 in. Typical par 5, they were able to get there in 2. All right, 6th hole. Very long par 3. This was the hardest hole in 2014. In the final round, this played 242. Which, again, like I mentioned, trying to hit long approach shots into these greens is just incredibly difficult.
Hello? Steve, where'd you go, buddy? Steve! So we'll just sit here and shoot the shit. What do you guys think about, in the chat, what do you guys think about Scotty on 3-1? Do we think it's a good shot while we wait for Steve to come back? 3-1. Anybody? Takers. No one. Hey, there he is. Hey,
all right. I accidentally X'd out. My apologies.
What happened?
I just accidentally clicked something on the mouse and it just completely went away. So,
and I was like, oh my God, my feet aren't near anything. I was like, it's not me.
No,
I looked, I was like, oh, I still see the line. It was Steve this time. I
nope,
was very happy.
it was me. Okay. So this is the 6th hole, 242, hardest hole in 2014. This is an 8,000 square foot green, but because everything falls off, it plays a lot smaller and everything falls off on this hole. Everything feeds towards the bunker. Everything feeds towards the front. Everything feeds towards this bunker over here. Everything feeds all the way off the back here. And when you're hitting a very long approach shot into this green, incredibly difficult to actually hold it. It was not only the most difficult green or hole in the golf course, it was also the most difficult to putt on too. Guys struggled putting on this hole a lot in 2014. All right, number 7 here. So this is a shorter par 4, 426 yards. Back in 2014, a little more interesting of a hole because it doglegs very severely to the right here. And again, there's the temptation to go down the right to shorten down the hole, but this area of wiregrass and sand here is very inconsistent and severe.
Where's Wiregrass? So you keep saying that. What the fuck is
It's
Wiregrass?
just like it's just like
tall
a
grass.
yeah, kind of like wispy, like sandy grass, kind of. I don't know how to really
So
describe it.
like what? Like sand, like so grass like out of a sand dune?
Yeah, basically, I would say that. So it's a little more green than that, but it's hard. It's hard to describe. You'll just have to see pictures, I guess, of it.
Okay,
So
I'll Google it.
all right. Anyways, so the temptations go down the right side here, but you don't really want to be in this over here. And the best angle to the green, again, it's angled pretty severely away from the fairway here. You want to be over on the left side. But here's the thing, though, is, well, first, before I get that, guys play this in a lot of different ways. Keimer was sitting on like a 7-shot lead, and he started throttling back off the tee. He hit iron and had like 173 in because he's like, all right, I'm not messing around here. Mickelson and Stenson. Go ahead.
I said smart.
Yeah, smart. Mickelson, Phil and Stenson hit 3 wood. They had like 150, 160 in. Ricky just went YOLO at this point. Absolutely nuked to drive over the corner, had 110 in. So here's the thing, though. You see this bunker right here? It's only about 292 to carry. Everybody can probably carry this now. So you hit a really good drive. You hit a really good drive left to right. You're probably setting up a wedge into the screen.
That's a Morikawa drive right there.
It is. I mean, he could thread the needle, but it's also a Scheffler drive. So
also a Scheffler drive.
Yeah, also a Koepka drive. It's also a Rahm drive. It's a DJ drive. It's a lot of guys' drives. That's not a Fleetwood drive, I would say. But
no, definitely not. Not flash of
yeah, basically most.
I'll let you finish up this hole. I'm gonna go refill.
Okay,
we're gonna refill. We're refilling already.
All right. Well, most of your power hitters basically can hit a fade here. So, all right, number 8 here. This is a par 5 for the resort guests. It is converted to a par 4 for the tournament. It was the 4th hardest hole in 2014, and the fairway kind of snakes. First left to right and then right to left. It also banks from left to right and right to left too. It's a cool looking hole. What's really interesting more about this hole is the green here. So you do not want to miss long or left at all costs. And I wish my co-host here was not filling the drink. It would be a very bad time to do it. But maybe I will save that story for when he gets back. But this, again, driver hole here, bottlenecks a little bit once you get to about 265 to about 35 yards wide. We'll save the absolute implosion on this hole for when he comes back. And hole number 9 here. So shorter par 3. This was the 5th easiest hole in 2014. Played about 0.08 over par. Green is set as multi here, so it's pretty high here, pretty low here. In the final round, a lot of guys basically hit left of the pin to funnel back down to the hole here. If you missed your spot, though, it would run all the way off the green. Again, there's a story behind this. I wish he did not take a drink break right now. Let's put a little bookmark into this hole because it's important. It kind of summarizes what Pinehurst is all about based on this little green here and a little sequence I saw in the final round within 5 minutes of each other. All right. Hole number 10. So this is a par 5, 617 yards. The fairway bottlenecks from about 60 yards wide here to about 35 yard wide, about 275 here. But it was playing extremely firm back in 2014. Keimer and Ricky only had about 240 into the green. There's a little small opening here in front of the green. It's a very shallow green. So the best way to attack this is probably to bounce the ball into the green here to try and get their home in two. If it's playing very firm, guys will be able to do that pretty easily because they'll be able to run the ball up. If it's not playing firm, it's playing a little softer, they won't be able to do that. All right. Capper, you took a drink break at a horrible time. Because these are two very important holes that have a couple stories behind it.
No, we got.
All right, let's go back to number 8.
Happens.
This is the hole that poor John Daly had a very tough time on back in 1999. So I may mention you do not.
Go ahead. Yeah, I don't know the history of golf. I have seen highlights of this stuff.
Yes. So you do not want to go long and left on this hole because it just runs and runs and runs and runs. It basically, you can run about 20 or 30 yards away from the green here. Poor John tried to putt his way back up to the hill here and just kept failing. And eventually, after I think like maybe his third or fourth attempt, the ball was moving and he hit the ball back to the green. That is a 2-shot penalty. Ends up carding an 11 on this hole.
The only thing that I watched live that I can think about was Ernie Els at the Open.
Yep.
It's so awful and a train wreck, but it's so satisfying to watch. I don't know what that says about me as a human, but it's hilarious.
I really hope we get the firm conditions that we got in 2014. The thing is, so we're going to get some rain on Wednesday.
How much?
To soften a little bit, but from early reports I've seen, if you just give this place a little bit of sun and some heat, it'll firm up pretty quick. So maybe over the weekend, because we're not supposed to get a lot of rain over the weekend, maybe we'll get those conditions finally.
Nice.
For that.
Nice.
Okay. All right. 9th hole. I want to talk about a little sequence that I saw in the final round because this actually sums up Pinehurst beautifully here. So I mentioned earlier, the pin in the final round was about here. Guys had to hit it left of the pin, use the slope to funnel it back down close to the pin. Right. But if you're a little short here, the ball will just roll and roll and roll off the green. So Graham McDowell comes up first. And he hits it about 30 feet left, but he's a little short. Ball just starts trickling and trickling, trickling down the right, and eventually runs down the chute to about here. All the way off the green.
That's right. That's where I snapped my club.
Yep. 5 minutes later, Zach Johnson, your favorite of yours, comes up, hits it a little farther, about 22 feet. And then the ball takes the slope, runs back down the hill, and into the cup for an ace. So that is the fine margin between.
I can't believe Zach Johnson, two-time major winner,
two-time major winner at St. Andrews and Augusta National.
Unbelievable.
By the way, I know
what a goof dick motherfucker. I can't believe. Fine, we'll just move on. We won't let me derail this.
Well, the point is that both guys had similar strategies. McDowell missed his mark by a couple feet, ends up rolling all the way down here. Zach Johnson hits the perfect executed shot, goes in for an ace. That is Pinehurst number 2. Right. By the way, McDowell ends up putting back up the slope, actually makes birdie for all that anyway.
And Graham McDowell has a great restaurant. If anybody's in the Ponte Vedra area or St. Augustine, it's called Nona Blue. I think there's one down in Orlando as well. Nona Blue, great prime rib, great cheesecake. Visit Nona Blue.
There you go. That's free advertising. And I think that's the
free advertising. Graham, hit me up.
Yeah, I think that's the 80th time that I think you've mentioned that.
I love it. It's a great restaurant. What do you want?
All right. We already covered hole number 10. I just wanted to go back to those stories. Are number 11 here. So, 5th hardest hole in 2014. Par 4, 482 yards. Fairway progressively bottlenecks to about from 50 yards to about 35 yards here. But if you can carry it 325 in the air, the fairway opens up again to about 40 yards. So this could be a hole. Go ahead.
Can I ask you something? So I see the dot at 327.
Yeah, about 325. Yeah. I'm just
right. No. So what I'm saying, but I mean, you can really carry it like right 20 or 30 yards prior to that, right?
If you hit it on the dead straight, yeah, you do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if it's rolling a lot too, but I mean, if you hit it dead straight, it doesn't really matter. This way, what I'm saying is, if it's for a guy who can hit a little farther, like Rory or Bryson, or just like maybe Kapka or DJ or Rom or whoever, just really get a hold of one, the fairway widens for them. Like that's an advantage over a shorter hitter. Whereas, like, somebody who might be a little farther back, it ends up rolling to the sandy waste area. So, this might be a hole where a bomber might have a little more of an advantage. So, Ricky hit driver here.
Think about Rory can take it. What, 360?
No, not carry.
Not in the air, but like to roll it out.
Yeah, he can carry probably 320. Rory could do this. There's only a select few guys who could actually do this. Rory could do it. Bryson could do it.
I think I look 3.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
and it's only 3 because Taylor Gooch isn't here, or it would be 4 because Taylor.
He didn't even try. By the way,
I know. Hence the joke, Steve. Hence the joke.
What a loser.
God.
So Ricky hit driver, had 175 in. Keimer, nursing a lead, hit iron and had 215 in. So
damn.
Yeah, that was the problem, is because Keimer had such a huge lead, you don't actually get a lot of info of like how
he's not like Soderbergh. What's his name?
My goodness.
Who joked it for you today?
Oh no, I didn't have a bet on him. This was the first time I've ever witnessed that.
Oh, I thought you had a bet on him too.
No, Matt bet him. No, I don't.
I know Matt bet him. Oh, I thought you bet him too. Oh,
no, I don't bet the DP World Tour. But that was very entertaining to watch this morning. So I never experienced a Soderbergh experience.
All right, you didn't remind me the beaten by a woman story. So keep in mind, this was 1989, 1990. So we were on a little league field trip. We went into Fenway Park, and multiple buses left at the same time, right? There's a ton of us, right? We usually can outside and get quarters in, and we raise $35. We get a Fenway ticket. So Sox lose as always in 1989, 1990, and we're racing back. And Jimmy is my bus driver. Jimmy is a giant black man who runs a bodega on the corner. I love Jimmy. He runs Ricey's Market. Like, I know Jimmy. And his wife is driving the other bus. And we're racing back from downtown Boston. And all of a sudden, the wife is winning. And we all start going, beaten by a woman, like slapping the top of like a yellow bus. Like, this is not like a luxury bus. This is like a school bus that somehow we have. And we're slapping it, beaten by a woman, he literally runs a red light, jumps 3 fucking curbs, puts all of our lives in danger just to beat his wife. We won, and I respect it this day. It was insane. I just think about that today. I'm like, oh, he got beaten by a woman, and yeah, just brought it back to my brain. That's all.
Cool story. I appreciate you giving my vocal cords a rest there. It's very, very nice.
That's a great story, though.
Yeah,
the guy literally put a busload of children. Like, we could have died just to beat his wife in a race. That is great.
All right.
Love Jimmy. R.I.P. Jimmy. Love Jimmy.
All right. Let's get back to Pinehurst here. So, number 12, par 486. This was the 8th most difficult hole in 2014. Similar to number 7, where, you can push it up the right here, try and shore up the hole a little bit. The risk is at 325 here. There's a bunker. You got all the wire grass over here. The safer play, it's probably hit it towards the left here, so you got a better angle to the green. It's not as severe though. If you pull off a really good drive on the right, you still have a pretty good angle into the green. But similar concept though, where depending where the pin is, you might want to be on one side of the fairway or not, or how the green is angled from the fairway. it's definitely a better angle to be on the left, but on the right, unlike on number 7, where you don't have a good angle if you hit down the right, or that's actually number 2. This one, if you have a good shot, you hit it pretty close to the bunker here, you actually could get rewarded. So,
But
okay.
So if you hit it down on the right side there and it's on the right, you're dead.
Well, that's the risk. Is if you hit it into here too far, then you're basically dead here. But if you hug the bunker but if you hug the right side as much as you can, though, you can shorten out the approach shot and you have a decent angle in. So that's the reward for a good shot. So as far as where to miss, basically everything trundles back down to these bunkers here. You can miss long here. Unlike some other holes where you can't miss long, this one's actually okay to miss long. It's actually short you don't want to be in. This is pretty difficult to get up and down from this area down here. All right. 13. Another drivable par 4. One of 2 on the golf course. So this was the 4th easiest in 2014. And again, you have 2 options.
Can you imagine what they do now?
Well, I'll get to that. So you lay up short of the bottleneck here, set up a wedge in, or you can do exactly what everybody even did in 2014 and just pull driver, and because it was firm, just push as far up as you can to the green. And literally everybody did that I saw.
Yeah.
Even Graham McDowell did it.
Why keep besmirching Graham McDowell?
What I'm saying is he's a short knocker where,
I feel like you're racist with Irish people, Steve. That's what I feel.
No, I'm saying he's a short knocker, and even that was his strategy. I'm just gonna, even if I can't get there, I'm just gonna pull drive.
Paddy wagon. What else do you want to say, Steve?
I don't want to say anything. I want to talk about this golf course and get through it. It's 11-11, man. All right.
Ooh, make a wish.
Oh, there you go. I wish Scotty Scheffler would win next week.
Me too, but I'm betting him because it's going to happen.
There you go. All right. Anyways, everybody's going to pull driver, especially if it's softer too. It's going to be easier to not let the ball run all the way through or into a really bad area. It's just going to kind of stop, and then you just chip up and get your birdie. So, everybody's going to pull driver. I would not expect anybody to actually, unless there is some pin.
Shit, the Irish.
Unless there is some pin that would give you a reason to lay up, which I don't know if there really is. Everyone's going to pull driver. So, all right. 14, another longer par 4, 472 on the scorecard here. Pretty standard par 4. Everything's pretty straight away here. There's a cross bunker that's about 311 to carry that juts into the fairway. The green is kicked up a little bit over on the back, and it severely falls off for the back on all sides. And, this is a hole where, you got to hit a very high approach shot into the green, but that doesn't really matter when guys are hitting 8 irons, 170 yards, everything's really high. Short is the best place to miss. Keimer hit 3 wood on this hole, had 180 in. DJ absolutely nuked a drive and had 140 in. So, and that's mostly because of the firm conditions. I would expect probably similar this year. Even with added length, if it's softer, balls aren't rolling out as much, probably similar. So probably anywhere between like 150 and like 175, I would say, for your proximity bucket here. 15, kind of just another standard Pinehurst number 2 par 3. Nothing really a ton of tricks to it. 202 yards. Basically just a 6 irons into a turtleback green. Everything falls off here. The only thing noteworthy I have was poor Eric Compton, this is basically the only thing he's known for.
Eric Compton. I haven't thought about that motherfucker in forever.
Oh, we're going to talk about Eric Compton a lot tonight. Mr. Runner-up Eric Compton. So he missed the green.
Where's poor Eric Compton right now?
Oh, he's on the Corn Ferry Tour. He missed the cut this week. I know.
How old is he? He's got to be fucking my age.
Oh, he's like 46.
Oh, so he's older than I.
Yeah. He's on his second heart too. So, good for him at least. But he tried to use a hybrid.
I feel attacked, dude. I still have my same heart.
I know you do.
It was just an attack.
Anyways, he tried to use hybrid from off the tee. Did not go well for him. That's the only note I have from this hole. Otherwise, though, listen, just a 200-yard par 3 for Pinehurst that you got to hit your marks and, don't miss. All right. Number 16. This is a par 5 for the resort guests. This is a par 4, though, for these guys. It is 530 yards. It also features the only water hazard on the golf course, but it only takes about 175.
It's never in play. It's not in play.
No. Somebody would
unless Keegan sees it, then he'll find it.
At the top is drive. So this was the second toughest hole in 2014, played plus 0.34.
Wait, I thought 17 was harder.
No, 17 is a par 3. It's not harder.
Oh, must be 18 then.
No, 18 is not even that hard either. The last 2 holes are kind of disappointing. I mean, this is really the only one that might really be a swing hole is this one.
That's sad.
This is interesting though. So straight away here, if you hit a good right to left tee shot, you'll hold the fairway. But if you hit it dead straight, if it's firm, it's 305 to this corner bunker. You're going to run it all the way through the fairway. So that's difficult. It's if you send it a little too far right, it's going to go in the junk over here. If you overcook it, you're over in the left, and this is a really bad place to be because again, like you just are blocked out completely from the green here. And as a par 5, this green is really tiny. You have to, basically a higher approach shot into the green is the best way to hold it. Well, if you're hitting longer approach shots in, you just can't hold this green. As far as what clubs guys were hitting, Keimer was a coward. He hit 3-wood off the tee, and he had 220 in.
He was a coward because he had how many shot lead at that point?
He had an 8-shot lead, I think, at this point.
I hit a wedge. I hit wedge, putt.
Yeah.
Wedge, putt. 8-shot lead, coward.
Yeah. Everybody else hit driver. The only other note I have in this hole
is German, so he can't be too aggressive, or the world would think he was trying to eradicate a race again.
Easy, buddy. The only note I have is DJ hit it over on the left here, and he hit a cold hosel shake back this way. So, yeah, there's that. Rest in peace, DJ. I think he's
fine.
He's fine. Yeah, he's fine. I know he's got a lot of money. All right, 17. This was the 9th hardest, so basically right in the middle. Par 3, 207 yards. Commands a fade into the green. Jack Nicklaus would love this hole. This is right up his alley right here. It's pitched 30 degrees left to right. There's a trio of bunkers you just don't want to be in. That's really about it. That's all I got really on this hole. Just hit a high towering fade. You'll be able to hold the green. You're good. And then 18 here. Obviously, this hole is famous for what Payne Stewart did, beating Phil Mickelson on this hole. He gave the little punch after he holed it.
Great punch.
I know. This is the 25th anniversary of that, by the way. So
it's been that long.
It has. Yeah, we're pretty old.
I am old as fuck. Is it really been that long?
Yeah, 1999.
So old, man. Fucking listen. I can walk out. I got 5 Scally caps I could throw on, and it wasn't gonna say him, but I liked him before that. Like what? So it's like Munson, him, Billy. Yeah, there's always some people like fucking Otis Redding, like people who just die in plane crash sucks.
How he went out is not great either. No,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So
it stinks. Right. Like it takes away.
All right, number 18, par 4, only 448, the 9th easiest.
You always refused to talk about pop culture. It's hilarious.
Because, man, we got to get through this. We're at 59 minutes, and we haven't even done the game. We haven't even done anything, all that stuff.
What game? That Scotty wins?
You'll see. I got a good game for it. Anyways, 9th easiest hole on the golf course. If you basically the aiming point is this little chimney right here on the clubhouse, or where guys are just drinking beer on the deck here outside the Deuce, the famous little bar there at Pinehurst. Bottleneck Fair.
There's no normal guys hanging out in the tent at Pinehurst, by the way. They're all finance bros and hedge fund assholes.
Okay. All right.
So,
Anyways.
That's how it works.
All right. Fairway bottlenecks at about 27 yards, about 260, but it widens pretty significantly, about 290. So just head over the bottleneck here. Guys like Ricky and Justin Rose, they had about 130 yards in. Keimer, again, was a coward, had 163 yards in. So just laying back.
You keep saying he's a coward. It's unbelievable.
It's a bit, man. It's a bit.
I will never listen. You know me. I will kill somebody for being. You have a 7-shot lead. The reason, Christ, we thought we actually. Who was it? We had Vegas. Stupid Cam Champ took the fucking driver off the fucking. We're like, what are you doing, you moron? Thank you. Like
Twin Cities. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Come on.
Yeah. All right.
I think that would be good. Compton. Oh, Dirk McGurk said Compton had a rough year last year.
Did he have a rough year? I don't know. I haven't really followed Eric Compton's career, unfortunately.
Yeah. But Dirk McGurk said shanty Irish, so he knows the deal.
Okay. All right. So that's Pinehurst. So I guess, all right. So you just sat through an hour. What are your biggest takeaways about Pinehurst after going through hole by hole and kind of the things I've been saying about it?
I hope it plays fucking tough. Like the way you describe it makes it move a little bit, and makes me hope to God it plays difficult.
Yeah.
It's like length is always a necessity, right? But might not be that important here. Not as important.
Well, it's a different era. I mean, everybody has TrackMan. Everybody's trying to hit it as far as they can.
Right.
So
yeah.
So we'll get to how distance played at this tournament in a little bit. But put a little bookmark, I guess, into that.
I would say what I'm taking away from this is accuracy off the box, and you better have it around the green game. We get fucked.
Okay. Well, we will see if your hypothesis is true on that, because I actually had the data from 2014.
Oh.
So there you go. All right. Let's get the GCSAA first, though.
Surprised.
Let's get the GCSAA first, though. So par 77,543 yards, average green size 6,500 square feet. Again, like I mentioned, though, this is a different type of green at here. This was bent grass back in 2014. It is now championed Ultra Dwarf Bermuda. So I think off the top of my head, I think Memorial Park was champion Bermuda. I don't think Eastlake is. I'd have to go look at what the exact champion.
Eastlake's not, but Eastlake's not. It's
No, Eastlake is
that Nick.
No, Eastlake is Bermuda.
What's not the champion Bermuda?
I don't know, maybe. I'd have to go look. But anyways, though, it's Bermuda greens now. So that might actually change a little bit. Don't use the bentgrass greens they did in 2014. Use Bermuda for this. Everything else, though, Bermuda, rough vicinity, native areas, and wiregrass. Average fairway width, the landing zones between 35 and 45 yards. I showed you where they're like, a lot of things bottleneck at about 300 yards, though. To about 35 yards. I showed you a couple examples with some of the holes there. That's really about it, though. So let's talk about, though, because unfortunately, this would be the part of the show where I could fire up Data Golf, a website you love and respect and think is completely accurate. This is where I show you like the predictive skill set chart and how guys separate themselves and strokes game. Well, the problem was, though, this was before the U.S. Open, I think, had shot link data. So there is no strokes gained from this tournament. Yeah. So, but I'm the overachiever. And, I just looked at the top 10. And what I did was, and I actually have an encyclopedia of this stuff for every single U.S. Open going back to 2009, what guys were doing in certain categories coming into the event. So I have that data, how everybody's form was coming into this U.S. Open, and we are going to talk about it right now. So Martin Keimer won it at 9 under, second place, 8 shots clear, second place. Eric Compton and Ricky Fowler here. Then a pretty good group of guys at fourth place. Keegan Bradley, Jason Day, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka before he really started to break out. And Henrik Stenson, who was the number 2 player in the world at that point, by the way.
We know you love Henrik.
My boy. He was on an absolute tear around this point in his career.
I know.
And then you got Adam Scott, the number one
10
player.
years from now, we are going to be talking about some golf tournament, and somehow you are still going to be able to bring it back to Henrik Stenson on his tail.
Okay. Adam Scott, number one player of the world at point, ninth place, Brandt Snedeker, and Jimmy Walker, who had a really good 2014. He fit,
Dynamite.
he ran on top 10. I think actually Walker finished top 10 in 3 of the 4 majors that year. He actually had a great 2014. So let's talk about how these guys are doing coming in. You know, tee to green, most of these guys were pretty solid. Average ranking was 48th. Keimer was 34th. Compton was the big surprise, though, 117. You know, that was a huge surprise. Ricky even, too. Everybody wants to think about Ricky's 2014, where he finished top 10 in all the majors. It's like a really strong year for Ricky. He was only 93rd in tee to green coming into this event. He actually was on a little bit of a slump at that point. He played, I think, really bad at the Players.
Ricky's always stunk. He wore flashy clothes. He is always stunk.
Okay.
Always.
Well, at this point, though, you know, Ricky still was a really good player. Well, a good player. Maybe an overrated player. But everyone thinks, okay, 2014, Ricky had a great year. He actually was not having a good year going into this event. This is actually kind of out of nowhere. He finished second. But Keegan was having a great year. Jason Day was having a pretty good year. DJ having a great year. Kapka even, this was a breakout. He's having a good year. So, you know, solid guys tee to green, which is what you would probably expect for a U.S. Open, where solid tee to green game usually prevails ultimately on the leaderboard. So targeting guys who are great tee to green is usually a good strategy. I know I'm breaking a ton of news here to everybody when I say that. But
tee to green is good. Like bad touchdowns are good.
Yeah. But let's talk about driving, though. And this is all like form coming in, like the profile players. So this is like, I'm trying to recreate like the predictive skill set, right? That we usually talk about.
Okay.
Let's talk about distance. A lot of really long players were in this top 10. So, and there were a lot of really efficient drivers too. So Martin Keimer was 10th in strokes gained off the tee coming in because he hit it relatively long, but he also hit it relatively straight too. So that works for you. You know, he hasn't run away with it. But, you know, Keegan had a lot of length. He was averaging over 300, but he was, you know, okay accuracy, but, you know, Compton wasn't finding a lot of fairways. Ricky hasn't found a lot of fairways. You had Day and DJ and Koepka. Jimmy Walker hit less than 50% of his fairways coming in. A lot of length, though. So you just said accuracy is what really matters at this place. But as a predictive skill set, though, it's a lot of guys who bombed it out pretty far. Not a lot of accuracy, though. So that runs counter to your little theory.
Yeah.
So how I think of it, and maybe actually, you know what? I'll save this point for later. As far as approach play, you know, it's okay. There's a lot of really good iron players. Obviously, you know, you got Stenson, you got DJ, Koepka, Keegan Bradley, you know, Adam Scott, like good, solid iron players. Keimer was hitting his irons pretty good. But, you know, one thing I want to point to is I noticed with several of these guys that a lot of them were peaking with their irons heading in. And a great example of this is little Eric Compton. And let me show you what Eric Compton was doing ahead of the 2014 U.S. Open. So now he's got some stinkers in here. Heritage, he lost like 8 strokes with his irons. At the Memorial, lost 4 strokes with his irons. But look at these really good iron performances coming in. Really good to Byron Nelson. Really good to the Players. At the Zurich, before it was that stupid team event, hit it really good. You know, Shell Houston Open hit it really good. API, where he finished 5th. Like, these are some big boy iron numbers coming in. So trending with the irons there. Keegan was also trending with his irons. He was starting to hit it pretty good. Stenson always was hitting, you know, his irons pretty good. DJ was on a little bit of a tear with his irons. Keimer, might pull him up. He was on, this is when in the midst of his big heater too. Like he just started getting red hot. So starting with the Wells Fargo, gained 4 strokes with his irons, wins the Players, gained 1 billion strokes with the irons. Gains a lot of strokes the Byron Nelson doesn't really putt all that good. No data for the BMW PGA, but kind of assume at that point he's probably hitting the ball pretty good, and then it culminates with another win at the U.S. Open. So trending iron play, again, how are the irons coming in? So even though the stats didn't really suggest they're all that elite, they're starting to peak, and a couple of those guys were like that. So I think that's probably something to keep in mind at this place is guys trending with their irons is probably one of the target. And I talk about the turtleback nature of the greens, how even though they're 6,500 square feet on average, they play a lot smaller. You got to be really precise with your irons. So guys hitting their irons the best coming in probably have a better chance of holding these greens, hitting the small targets. As I showed you, if you are missing greens and missing in the wrong spot, you're basically dead. So, just like every U.S. Open, got to hit your irons really good. I think it's really paramount this week, though, to target guys who are really strong with that coming in, though. So, which does not bode well for anybody who is hoping Scotty Scheffler does not win, because he's hitting his irons fantastic at this point. All right, let's go back to performance heading in. Scrambling. This is the interesting one. So you say guys are going to have to be pretty good around the green to do well at Pinehurst. Well, look at what everybody was doing coming in. Martin Kaymer was 163rd in strokes gained around the green coming in. Eric Compton was 140. Keegan Bradley, 114. Brooks Koepka, 165. Stenson, 161. Koepka, 84th. Jimmy Walker, 96. Collectively, these guys are actually losing strokes around the green. Terrible. So why?
Yeah.
So here's my theory. Number one, the conditions around the green at Pinehurst are just nothing like anywhere else on the PGA Tour. These guys are not tested a lot with this type of stuff. The only time they're really tested with like collection areas, runoffs, and tight lies on the green that I can think of is Augusta National, Sawgrass, Concession. What's that? Augusta, yep. Memorial Park. But that's it, though.
Well, Congaree.
Yeah, Congaree works. But like most places they play in the PGA Tour has thick rough around the green. They don't have collection areas. Like how guys do around the green at TPC Craig Ranch doesn't really translate to here. And that's another point too, is if you're missing a lot of greens, these are really difficult chip shots that you just don't want to do it all that often. So, and the third point is that if you miss in the right spots, and because it is short grass, you have the option to putt back to the putting surface.
It's a putt.
And that's the big key is Martin Kaymer, horrible around the green. So he committed to just putting everything around the green all week. And there was commentators too. Johnny Miller was crushing Kaymer.
He was. I remember that.
Crushing him for like, why is he pulling putter here? As he's got like a 6-stroke lead, by the way, killing the guy. And Kaymer just stuck with it, and it worked out obviously well for him. So you have that option of putting, and I think that's like going back to my other points of like what happens at Pinehurst doesn't really relate to everywhere else. We know who the good scramblers are, right? Like the guys who really do have it, like Cam Smith, Jordan Spieth, Patrick Reed's not in this field, but he would be one.
I don't think Spieth has that anymore.
Okay, well, like those types, right? We know like who has it and who doesn't, right? So I'm not saying that those guys are at a disadvantage because listen, you put Cam Smith on a tight lie with Bermuda, like he's going to get up and down. Like I trust him, but like, if I'm handicapped, I'm building a model. I'm like, hey, Max Homa is 40th in strokes gained around the green. This should be pretty good for him. Well, where is he accumulating those stats? Has he ever really done it on like tight Bermuda lies? Stuff like that. So have that in mind.
Yeah.
And also know too that looking at this leaderboard and Pinehurst hasn't changed. It's not like they added short grass. It's not like they added a bunch of stuff. It's the same course of what it was back
Fair.
then.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a great short game heading in to have success. So now I think what Keimer did is an outlier and a fluke, as we'll get to the stats in a little bit, but it can be done. It can be done if you're a really good driver and a really good ball striker, where you're not missing a ton of greens and you can hit your marks, and you don't have to try and get up and down in certain places, and you miss in the right spots. Whereas a guy with loose irons can get in really terrible spots. That's more important than, oh, Denny McCarthy has an all-world short game. Like, I want him.
Great.
And then putting, it's a little bit all over the place. Keimer wasn't putting all that great, but he was a little bit on a heater coming in. Eric Compton was a good putter. Even Jimmy Walker was putting pretty well, but Stenson's not a very good putter. Even Jason Day actually wasn't putting all that great heading in. I think it's a little bit an outlier based on how he ended that season, but Ricky wasn't putting all that good. So again, it's putting, who knows what happens there. And then you get this putting from 5 to 10 feet, because there's a lot of 5 to 10 footers for par or bird, or trying to get up and down. A lot of people like using the stats. It's a little predictive, but you still have Keimer was 180 in putting from 5 to 10 feet that year. Keegan was very good from putting from 5 to 10 feet. Snedeker,
he was awful at putting, period, back then.
Yeah, Keegan is, he was the ball striker. So as far as predictive skill sets, driving and distance seem to be big favored here. Approach play probably about as much as what you would do. This scrambling around the green, though, if we're looking at one of those skill set charts, probably significantly no correlation based on just all of this right here, even if that runs counterintuitive to what you might think. And putting probably about what you would think for the average PGA Tour event. So probably the stuff you're valuing the most is distance, performance off the tee, not as much accuracy based on this, and just good ball striking. That's how I would based on how this top 10 shook out, how I would see it. Now, what they did actually in the tournament. So these guys drove it significantly farther than the field average. They averaged about 299 off the box that week. The field average was 284. So, and accuracy wise, they hit less fairways overall than the field. And this is another point I wanted to make is it's not necessarily that I think power is an advantage off the tee. Where I think it's a big advantage is you have the ability to hit a higher lofted club into these greens and have a higher ball theoretically to land it versus a shorter hitter where even if they get rollout, they got to hit, maybe a 6 iron or 7 iron versus a guy hits a pitching wedge. That's important. That matters. Now, all these guys hit it really high now, but you got to come in these greens with a really high ball flight to land on really small marks. And if you're really good at your short irons, you got a lot of length. That's a big advantage this week. And that's why I think power actually has an advantage here. It's more about the approach shots than not necessarily off the tee. Now, there are, places where you can carry a bunker, carry a, get through the bottleneck of the fairway, stuff like that. But I think it's more the approach shots. That's how I see it. Based on you got to do to be successful. These guys hit a lot of greens, no shock. If you're at a U.S. Open, the guys usually hit the most greens, do pretty well. What's surprising is Keimer actually was only 18th in green regulation on the week, but Compton hit the 8th most greens. Stenson hit 75% of his greens, which is nuts. The field average was 56.5%. He hit 75% of his greens. Crazy. He could not putt a lick.
75%?
Yeah, Keimer or Stenson. He was a monster, but he was not making any putts. Scrambling, Martin Keimer led the field in, let's not strokes gained around the green. It's just scrambling percentage. Led the field in scrambling percentage at 70%. Field average was 50%. That is why Martin Keimer won by 9. It was a 50-50 proposition. Anytime somebody missed a green, if they got up and down for par, birdie, whatever, Keimer was able to do it 70% of the time. And it was because he basically missed in the right spots and he putted everywhere. So, and most guys here, even if they weren't great scramblers, did relatively well around the green. So like, Compton was, better than field average. Ricky was better than field average. Keegan was the only one really, and Keegan and Stenson were really the only ones who weren't. But they hit a lot.
The Baines bar existed.
That makes sense. But they hit a lot of greens, so it didn't matter. But regardless, though, I just showed you Martin Keimer was 163rd in strokes gained around the green coming in, and then led the field in scrambling percentage on the week. That's just going to leave that out there for you guys to just digest. Martin Keimer also led the field in putting on the week, at least putting average. And he also was second in 3-putt avoidance. And that is another recipe to absolutely boat racing the field, is when a lot of people are missing greens and it's hard to get up and down, you do it a significantly higher clip and you putt your ass off. So, but I think the biggest takeaways is distance matched the profile, like guys who were successful versus what they did before the tournament. Wasn't so much accuracy, and they hit a lot of greens. And how guys did around the green was different than what their profile actually suggested. So that's the main takeaway there. All right. Let's do two more things, or one more thing, and we'll get to the game.
All right. So
this is just a summary of the profile of every U.S. Open winner since 2009. And the golf course they did it at, the winning score, world ranking, how they're heading in. So, good players win the U.S. Open. I'm not bringing any news. The average world ranking is 19.3. But now the world ranking is completely fucked up now. So don't even really reference it anymore. The average age, which is a very controversial point that I'll bring up later. Younger guys tend to win the U.S. Open. 13 of the last 16 winners between the ages 26 and 32. The oldest winner of the U.S. Open since 2009 was Gary Woodland at 35.
That was on Father's Day.
Yeah, the youngest was
my wife's birthday.
The youngest was Jordan Spieth in 2015, who was on essentially a Scotty Scheffler type heater at that point.
Yeah.
And Rory McIlroy at 22, who is basically one of the best players of this generation. Everybody else between 26 and 32 for the most part. Yeah.
So this year again, Father's Day and my wife's birthday fall on the same day.
Okay. Very good. Maybe you can use that as a lean for betting guys.
I'm not betting Woodland.
Okay. As far as guys, tee to green, obviously very efficient players. Tee to green tend to win U.S. Opens. The exception was Koepka actually wasn't all that great tee to green for whatever. I think he was dealing with some injury stuff those years, but Fitzpatrick was 5th in tee to green heading in. Rahm was 2nd. DJ was 3rd. Spieth was 3rd. Rose was 1st in tee to green. So again, like if you just target guys who are really efficient tee to green, especially recently, you're going to do well. The off the tee stuff is really, I think, what's really changed. So prior to 2015, not a ton of length in U.S. Open winners. You got Graham McDowell and Justin Rose, and I mean they're above average length, but not what we're seeing now. The last, I think 7 of 8 winners: Dustin Johnson 3rd in length or driving distance, Koepka, Woodland, Bryson, Rahm, Fitzpatrick, who was adding length at that point, and Wyndham Clark. And Fitzpatrick was at the shortest venue of the U.S. Open. Well, other than Pebble Beach. Everybody else, those bombers. And just kind of shows what players do nowadays, where they're just focused on length. So length is not only an advantage, I think, at Pinehurst, it's just an advantage at U.S. Opens in general.
Yep.
So, and then drive actually just is thrown out the window, basically. Wyndham Clark, Bryson, Brooks, DJ, like these guys fairways. No. So good iron players generally do pretty well at the U.S. Opens. Scrambling can be a little up and down. Putting, usually pretty good putters do pretty well at U.S. Opens. Pinehurst, we'll see, because the greens can be really slick and glassy. good putters didn't generally do, they did okay at Pinehurst based on the top 10s I showed you. But this bogey avoidance rank, which is, I think, kind of a cop-out stat because you're basically just targeting guys who are really good. But guys who don't get in trouble a lot have been winning U.S. Opens. 5 of the last 6 ranked 15th or better in bogey avoidance coming in. The lone exception was Gary Woodland in 2019.
Okay. Woodland's going to be the exception for lots of shit.
He was. But he was hitting a really good tee to green coming in. And he was a bomber.
Yeah.
So
that's what he does.
Okay. Let's do the game.
Let's do the game.
Okay. I have a bunch of criteria that I looked at for not just U.S. Open trends, but also I think is going to work at Pinehurst. So let's go through it. 16 of the last 16 U.S. Open winners had at least a top 10 in one of their last 5 starts heading in. Or, because the live now, let's do top 5, okay? So let's eliminate guys who have not had a top 10 in any events in the last 5 or a top 5 on live. Akshay Bhatia has not had a top 10. He's kind of cooled off since his win. Maybe the shoulder injury is getting to him. He does not have a top 10. Siwoo Kim had a chance today. No top 10. Brian Harman.
Siwoo Kim is not winning the U.S. fucking Open.
He's pretty good tee to green, though.
Okay.
Brian Harman does not have a top 10. Ricky Fowler.
The fact that he won a goddamn major.
I know.
And it was the British Open is okay. I can't even equate it to like what normal people's sports are. Like, I don't know. What's the most one-off NBA champion ever? The Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons in 2000 and what it was, 2-3 actually won because they didn't have a single superstar. Like that's the equation. Like unbelievable. Brian Harman won a fucking major. He's never winning 2 majors. Brian Harman is not winning 2 fucking majors.
Oh, okay. So, all right. Ricky Fowler obviously has not had any top 10s recently.
Yeah, no kidding.
Minwoo Lee.
He stinks at golf and shouldn't have been on the Ryder Cup team.
Minwoo Lee, who I'm putting here because he's been pretty good in majors. He's got length. Does not have a top 10 recently, but I kind of like him this week. I think he might be okay. Like maybe a positional bet for him this week.
Everyone's a positional bet other than Scotty.
Okay. All right. Dustin Johnson just mailed it in now.
No.
Yeah.
No. He cares no fucks about golf anymore.
Cam Young, your favorite, does not have a top 10 recently. He's out.
I've been on record. He will never win a PGA event. And it doesn't look like I'm so crazy anymore, does it, Steve?
So what's funny is we usually eliminate Cam Young when you got to have a win, like a little later on. He doesn't even make it to that. It's been rough for Cam Young.
Oh, y'all thought I was crazy when I said he will never win a PGA event. But
all right. Jordan Spieth does not have a top 10 recently. He's been bad.
No shit.
He's been really bad.
He stinks.
Will Zalatoris, who was awful today.
Fuck out of here.
Who was awful
never winning
today.
Again. Never winning again.
I don't know if that's true, but he does not have a top 10.
Winning again. He's never winning again.
Okay. And Tommy Fleetwood does not have a top 10 in his last 5. Cross him off.
0 chance he wins a major on U.S. soil. But he can't win fucking the Fortinet.
Okay.
The John Deere. Fuck out of here.
Now, even more, let's expand on this. Of the last 16 U.S. Open winners, not only do they have a top 10 recently, they have a top 5 in one of their last 5 terms. So they're really peaking coming in. So 14 of the last 16 have that. Billy Horschel does not have a top 5 as one of his last 5. He's out. Denny McCarthy does not have a top 5. One of his last 5. He's out.
Yeah.
Russell Henley, who stinks. Stinks. He's out. Justin Rose, who played well at the PGA at least. He's out.
Stop it.
Sam Burns, who I want to like for this week, but he's been playing okay. He finished, 15th this week? He's been hit. Up until this week, he was hitting his irons relatively good. That really regressed this week.
He couldn't beat a goddamn amateur, Steve.
Yeah,
I will never put
I don't want to talk
money
about
on
it.
Burns again until he was in the tournament. Until he wins again, I will not put a single red cent on this guy who could not fend off an amateur.
Okay. All right. Well, he's out.
Scam Burns. I love it. Fuck Scam Champ. Scam Burns. I love it, Dirt Rick.
Okay.
That's right.
Corey Connors does not have a top 5 as one of his last 5. He's out.
He's out.
He's out.
Canadian. 2 nights.
Shane Lowry, who completely blew up today.
That fat fuck. I've told you, he's not winning. He does not win. He is, listen, Irish brethren, get it. We'll go have a beer together, but guess what you're not going to do? Win a PGA tournament on U.S. soil or anything other than some random fucking major. He hasn't won in 5 fucking years. 5 years, and he's 30-1, 50-1, 20-1. It makes no sense.
That's
sense.
That's actually
doesn't
not
win.
That's actually not true. He won a tournament last year, I think.
Oh, that does not count.
He won did he win the BWPGA? That counts.
No, that definitely doesn't count.
What are you talking about? It's got like Rory and Hovland and Rahm in that field. What are you talking about?
I don't care.
You don't care. Okay, fine.
No, the DP is like a half a win at best.
I mean, not that event, but okay.
Hideki
Matsuyama does not have a top 5 as one of his last 5. He's out. Well, I kind of like this week. He actually fits a lot of these criteria. This is one of the ones he actually does not fit.
Sure.
Tony Finau, who played pretty well this week. Good at Shinnecock Hills with tight lies and firm and fast nature. Why are you laughing?
Very audibly.
Okay.
Because he's not going to fucking win because it's Tony Finau with people who can play golf.
Okay. He's out. And Max Homa, who's not playing very good golf lately.
No. He needs to go see his chiropractor so he's not walking around like a goddamn zombie from the Walking Dead.
All right. Now let's get to a little bit of a stronger trend. Everybody who's won the 15 of the last 16 U.S. Open winners has won at least once in the last 2 years. So this will go back to the 2022 U.S. Open, which is one of your nightmares. You don't want to relive when Fitzy ends up winning for Boston.
Nope. We're not talking about that.
Okay. Nope. So, unfortunately, I can't put Cam Young on this list again because he's already eliminated. But Alex Noren has not won in more than 2 years.
No way. Alex Noren's not going to win the U.S. Open? So weird.
My drug, Sung Jae Im, who, he was calling me this weekend, trying to get me to back using, really testing my.
He's like, hey, baby. He was putting the bubble butt emoji.
Really testing.
Squirt emoji.
Really testing my 12. He's testing my 12 steps. You know,
Steve, look how good I look.
I had to call my sponsor, but no, he has not won in 2 years, so he's out.
He stinks as well.
Ben On, who's never won.
No, he stinks.
He's out. Terrell Hatton, your boy.
He stinks too.
He was bad this weekend. Aliso too. We had this take for Augusta where he thinks it's unfair. What do you think is going to happen at Pinehurst?
He played well.
He did play well. What do you think is going to happen at Pinehurst though with him? Where if he hits it a foot off line, it rolls 30 yards the other way.
Yeah, it's going to be great TV.
He would be. And JT has not had a win in 2 years.
JT, get the fuck out of my face.
Okay.
Oh, what did he say? I'll just say the F golfer. How's that? He's that. He's the big F.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't say anymore.
Yeah, it's 11:53. We're getting into that territory with you. All right.
Yep. Listen, you're lucky I get answer to that.
All right. 14 of the last 16 U.S. Open winners made the cut in the last major they played.
Okay.
We're going to eliminate some heavy names here.
Come on.
Because there's a couple guys who missed the cut at Valhalla, which is pathetic in hindsight.
Right.
Sepp Straka, who's been playing really good, missed the cut at Valhalla.
He's not winning the U.S. Open. It's Sepp Straka.
He's playing good. I'm just saying he's playing good.
It's Sepp Straka. Sepp Straka, U.S. Open winner. Do you see that?
All right. Wyndham Clark, U.S. Open winner.
I would have seen it, yes.
Okay. He was playing pretty good coming in too. Okay.
Yeah,
Matt Fitzpatrick. Matt Fitzpatrick, who actually backdoored a top 5. He would have got eliminated earlier. But he gets eliminated here because he missed the cut at Valhalla.
Good. He has braces and he's a cut. So who cares?
Okay. Wyndham Clark missed the cut at Valhalla.
Love Windy C. Let's go.
Okay.
No shot. He's playing like wet ball sack right now.
Ludwig missed the cut at Valhalla. Popular name next week.
He looks all right.
He did. Remember, he was coming off a knee injury.
I know. But here's what I don't like. He did the interview and he's like, it's between him and my doctor. Is your meniscus torn or is it not? Like, this is
Wait, I missed that. What do you say?
Oh, so somebody was asking about, hey, I heard you have a meniscus tear. And he was like, well, that's between him and my doctor. And that was it. And nobody talked to me anymore. I'm like, I have to put money on you. Do you have a meniscus tear or not? Like, what is happening? Like, this is bullshit. I hate this fucking league. I hate everything. There's no injury, anything. He's like, oh, it's between me and my doctor. And everybody's like, that's fine, Ludwig. Did you like the snow growing up? Oh, thanks for that next high-hitting question, Golf Digest. How about, is your knee really fucked up? Because there's people putting money on you every week. Ugh.
Okay. Well, that seems like pertinent information to know. Speaking of injured golfers, maybe injured, Jon Rahm missed the cut of Valhalla, withdrew from Live Houston, allegedly because of a cut between his toes. Come get your boy. That's your boy. I want you to speak on this.
Have you ever had a cut between your toes, Steve?
Yes, I have had a cut between my toes.
It really hurts.
It really hurts. Okay. This is not a good year for Jon Rahm.
Listen, man, this guy thought he was going to be the one who brought everything together, and he realized he wasn't the one because Monahan didn't give a shit. He has the ghoul of John Henry who doesn't give a shit about any sports team he buys. All he cares about is a portfolio, and he was able to inject a ton of money into the PGA for whatever reason.
Okay. Well, Jon Rahm, the nightmare season continues.
Poor Johnny. I think Johnny got sold a bill of goods, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Yeah.
It's either that or like, yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know.
I think he got bad advice. That's my guess.
It's definitely bad advice, and now he's under the gun. What are you gonna do?
He's got 3-year contract. He has to basically.
It is what it is.
Yeah, fight for Legion 13.
But guess what it goes back to? Fucking Monahan, like a cocksucker. I hate that guy. It's all his.
So think about Rahm, hothead. I keep getting flashbacks to he was really popular at Erin Hills and just completely lost his mind with some of his stuff. He also lost his mind at Oak Hill. So
he was young.
This was last year.
No, he didn't lose his mind at Oak Hill.
No, he did. He said this is a stupid fucking hole. On his way to shooting.
That's not losing your mind, Steve.
No, he was motherfucking the PGA of America all through his third round. We shot like 78.
That sounds right.
Okay, so I can imagine things unraveling for Rahm at Pinehurst.
He'll still be fine. Okay, $750 million. He's okay.
All right. Here is a very controversial one, which we just talked about the age. So 13 of the last 16 winners have been between the ages of 26 and 32. So you were eliminated if you were younger than 26 or older than 32.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Ryan Fox.
Fuck out of here. He is not winning a fucking U.S. Open.
He's a bomber. He's playing good.
What are we doing?
He's a bomber. He's playing good. I had to include him. Listen, man, like a lot of good players did not make the U.S. Open through qualifying. So kind of getting a big pool was a little hard. Okay. But Ryan Fox hits it a long ways and he's playing good. Okay. So I include him in this pool. He does not make it. So don't worry about it. He's not winning anyways because he's too old, apparently, to win a U.S. Open. Dean Burmester is also too old to win a U.S. Open. He's 35, even though he's a bomber.
I don't mind Burmester.
Keegan Bradley is too ancient to win a U.S. Open.
Yeah,
and he's not talented enough, as we saw today. Oh, okay. Tom Kim is too young to win the U.S. Open. Tom Kim is too young to win a U.S. Open. So he's out.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Day is too brittle.
And it's the new outfits he's wearing with his stupid sponsors.
It's really bad.
Awful.
It's real bad.
It's so bad.
And now we're going to have two pretty.
He might as well just sell it to Disney, wear some Disney shit. Like,
okay. And now we're going to have two pretty heavy hitters.
Okay.
Brooks is too old to win a U.S. Open now.
No, he's not. Is he?
He's like 34.
I'm only 40. It makes me feel old.
And Rory is apparently too old to win a U.S. Open now.
Rory's just never winning another major. So
okay, so this is the one where, like, you can make exceptions for, like, Rory and Brooks if you wanted to. Like, it's age. Like, this is kind of an arbitrary number I kind of just found. But
age is not an arbitrary number.
But for the purposes of this game, which is mostly for entertainment purposes only,
everything we say is for entertainment purposes only.
That's pretty much when Scotty keeps winning, it is for entertainment purposes only.
I'm betting Scotty this week. That's it. I'm just I'm giving in. I'm giving in.
So
$500 on Scotty to win 1,500.
Okay. So we only have like a handful of players left. I think we have like 7. So no prior. So everybody or 13 less 16.
Fucking midnight, Steve. Let's go.
Hold on. Just let me get through it. Stop interrupting me. 13 last 16 U.S. Open winners has had at least a top 10 in a major before. Now, Wyndham Clark smashed that last year.
He did.
So he did. But of the ones remaining, all of them do. So we move on to the next category. 13 of the last 16 winners of the U.S. Open had at least a top 15 finish in one of the last 4 majors they played. So basically over the last year or so, they were like in the mix and relevant in a major.
Mm-hmm.
Of the guys remaining, they all do. So we move on. Now we're going to get into some like stat stuff, like trends coming in. Okay. So I showed you earlier that Koepka was outside the top 50 in strokes gained tee to green. I think that was kind of a fluke. Everybody was within it though. And so I'm going to eliminate everybody who's outside the top 50 in strokes gained tee to green, or on live, let's call it top 15 or so. Bring your at Cam Smith. Did you see what Cam Smith did today?
No.
Cam Smith, I think he was 8 under at one point. And then I checked the final leaderboard. I'm like, where are you? He finished at +4. And he went 12 over in like 8 holes. He went, I think, bogey, par. I think he went he had 5 straight holes of a double or worse. And Cam Smith's going to be popular this week because short game, firm and fast, wide fairways, even though it really isn't all that wide. People are going to save wide fairways. I mean, if he puts a lot of balls into that native grass, like that's going to come back to bite him. But Cam Smith is not hitting the ball good this year. So I'm just a word of caution. I mean, listen, could he scramble his way to a really good finish like he did the Masters? Yeah, he absolutely could.
Not winning. He's not
but
winning.
Like the way he's hitting the ball, man.
No, he's not winning.
This is a far cry from your peak major win in 2022 when he won the Open. He's not hitting the ball nearly as good. And we're going to get Patrick Cantlay out of here. I can't believe he even made it this far. He's a joke. He is an absolute joke at this point. Yeah. I mean, like, if he could not even sniff contention at Valhalla, like, this place is going to eat his lunch. He gets cut at Muirfield Village, too. What is he doing?
Stinks.
Get out of here, Cantlay.
Stinks.
All right.
Wave the fake hat, Cantlay. Good
Okay.
job on your non-US win, but wave the fake hat. You cunt.
All right.
God.
We are going to eliminate anyone outside the top 15 strokes gained off the tee this year or top 15 driving on live. We're not going to eliminate anybody. We have 5 guys left. They're all within that. We are going to eliminate a couple guys who average less than 300 yards off the tee. Now,
Morikawa.
it's not really fair to judge this at this point in the year, but we're staying true to the game because I think
Okay.
you gotta have some length to do well at Pinehurst.
Okay.
So we're gonna get rid of Colin Morikawa, who has
Yep,
the
love it.
iron game though to do well here. So he made it pretty far. If the fact that he's not long is your really only criticism, I think he's a fine pick next week. But
Sure.
for purposes of the game,
And he can't putt, and he's a loser. So yeah.
okay. And Hovland's actually averaging less than 300. But again, we all know he's got length. Yeah, this year he is. I think because of a lot of his troubles earlier in the year, he wasn't driving as good. But we all know he has length. But for the purposes of the game, he does not make it. So we got 4 guys left. And normally, this would be where we stop the game. And these are your survivors. But I have one more criteria to eliminate guys. Well, I'm sorry. We have one more before that. Are you outside the top 60 in short gain approach? We're not going to eliminate anybody. I have one more criteria to eliminate guys. Are you Kaiser Soze or not? And if you're not Kaiser Soze, then you are eliminated.
So for all our youngins, the usual suspects, one of the greatest movies of all time. I saw it in the movie theaters, way too young. I think I was probably like, I don't know, 7th or 8th grade. Unbelievable movie, unbelievable ending. Love it.
Yeah.
Good pull, Steve. Good
He is
pull.
the man of nightmares, which is unfortunately what one particular golfer is to anybody who wants to bet the sport. And so, even though this man just won a major championship, Xander Schauffele is not Kaiser Soze.
No. He's not Kaiser Soze.
Bryson is not Kaiser Soze.
No.
And this is the one actually I teased last night.
Yeah.
He made it really far. And I can actually kind of make a case for him. But Saad Tagala is not Kaiser Soze.
Oh, shut the fuck up. He's not winning the fucking US Open.
Can I make a case for Sahith?
Fine, make the case.
30 seconds. Okay?
Yeah, make the case. Yeah, go ahead.
He has length. He's driving it really good. He is starting to peak with the irons. He hit his irons really good at Murfield Village. He's got a couple top finishes. He got in the mix of Valhalla recently. He was 3rd heading into the final round, so he's got a taste of what it's like to be up towards in contention. Now, it didn't go great for him, but that's a precursor to soon getting a major, is getting in the mix and getting that taste. He struggles with accuracy, but here it can be a little bit of luck box if you're in trouble or not. Just like Martin Keimer, his short game is kind of struggling right now, but his ball striking is really good. So it's not horrible. You can make a case.
No, you can't.
Okay. Because the answer and the winner of this game, because he is Kaiser Soze,
Scotty.
And that is the game.
That's it.
That we will end on right here. So, but in all seriousness,
Scotty,
yeah. But in all seriousness, note, the guys who actually made towards to the end: Scotty, Xander, Bryson, Sahith, Hovland, and Morikawa are cut off based on 300 yards.
So can I just put Xander's winning from can't win to back majors. That's what we're putting our money into.
Well, Xander has a stellar U.S. Open record.
I don't care about that. Listen to what I just said out loud, and tell me if you agree with that. Xander, back-to-back majors. You hear that in your brain. Remember how you always say, "Do you hear this person as X amount PGA Tour winner?" And do you hear Xander as back-to-back major winner?
Phil got a major pretty quick after he did. He won his first. And it was a while for him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
It's amazing what you can talk yourself into.
I know. So of the guys, the guys who've made it really far, check a lot of boxes, it's Scotty, Xander, Bryson, Sahith, Hovland, Morikawa. And then going down the list, like
If
Rory.
I wasn't just single-putting Scotty, it would be Colin and Bryson.
Okay, I think it's a pretty solid card there. So, all right, that's the end of the game. And I've been talking for a while. It's 12:08. Do you have anything else?
No, I want to appreciate that breakdown of the golf course. It's very nice. And we got Feinberg on Tuesday.
Yep.
Yeah. Other than that, I hate Scotty Scheffler. He's ruining goddamn golf. I can't imagine the ratings are good anymore. Like the casuals can't even be turning in anymore. I'm gonna have to bet them 3-1.
Sure, they are because they're cashing bets. Of course, the casuals are tuning in.
I hate Scotty Scheffler so much. I hate him. Like he's like to the Yankee level almost in my brain. How much I hate him.
Yeah,
I don't like him at all. I'm gonna bet. I want to bet. I'm gonna bet $500 on him this week. I want him to fucking lose.
God, I
500 3-1.
I hope you take one for the team this week. That would be great.
Me too. Yeah. I really do. I legitimately would rather lose it because golf is being ruined.
Okay, that's a stretch.
No, it's not.
There's a lot of guys ruining golf right now.
Fine, fair enough. But Scotty's doing it too because he's boring and nobody gives a shit and nobody tunes in.
Okay,
and when he has a lead, everybody knows what's going to happen. Everybody knows what's going to happen. Everybody knew today was going to happen. I went to the pool. I went to Tommy's house. We grilled out. We watched some other shit. We went to Publix on the back nine. I threw up on my phone. I was like, we all know Scotty's going to win. Went around, got a beer, picked out what we're going to cook. And we're like, yeah, oh, there it goes. He missed it. Per always, Scotty's going to win. So
okay.
I hate Scotty. And whatever, man. We're just doomed for a very long time.
All right.
Bet Scotty every week.
All right. Well, Jeff and I will go over our list of losers because we're going to stick to the plan. You are going to tell us who the best positional plays are because you have already made up your mind.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So tune in Tuesday for all that.
Oh, I'll still shit all over your losers, so don't you worry about that.
Sure. Great. Okay.
All right. So Tuesday we get Feinberg on. You can go follow Steve on our Discord channel, and you can follow me on Twitter at Boston_Gapper. Other than that, let's go. Major week. Oh, and I'm sure we'll do a Mother Stream show as well at some point. So yeah, let's go.